Oregon will kick it off. Matt Belden will kick it. Mike Archie is the man they'd like to return it. Ambrose Fletcher is back there with him. This is a very big defensive series right here for Oregon. Belden, who missed 2 field goals in the first half, knocks it back to the 1-yard line. And Archie comes back to the 20-21. Here is Lynn Swan.
Keith, I talked with Joe Paterno at halftime, and he said this defense of Oregon's is outstanding. He said the one thing they're doing differently is throwing a different blitz package at the offense he wasn't looking for. And I asked him, after the big play by Ki-Jana Carter, did that affect the offense? He said, you know, there could be something to that. Sometimes when you score too easily, you get spoiled. Keith?
False security. All right, here come the Nittany Lions up to the 21-yard line, first down with Carter and Milne. The backs behind Kerry Collins. And Kerry on first down comes out throwing to the fullback. The ball is caught at about the 25. Milne, a 253-pound junior from Waterford, Pennsylvania. Both these fullbacks are juniors.
Here's a look at the numbers in the first half. Look at Penn State. Rushing yards, 123. Passing about the same. They're balanced. For Oregon, 278 yards passing, only 16 rushing. Each has had a turnover, time of possession, a little bit in the favor of Oregon.
John Whitman checks into the backfield now for the Lions. Second down and about 7. Collins again throwing to the sideline.
Good throw.
Good throw, and the man under it is Freddie Scott, who probably, they're not going to call it possession. He didn't have it when he went out of bounds. And there's a penalty flag waiting over here. But I think Scott will see the ball more in the second half than he did in the first.
Here's a look at Penn State in the first half. They scored on their first possession, and they scored on their last possession. A thing to note there, they did not have very good field position. The best they had was on their own 28-yard line. The leaders, Collins was 9 of 13 and 115. Carter, not much after that big first run, and Ingram led the receivers with 4 for 48 yards.
So it's third down and a long 6 for Penn State.
Here they come.
Ki-Jana Carter on a pitch, pops out of there, but they finally bring him down. They almost had him again. If you don't wrap Carter, you're not going to take him down. Jeff Sherman finally got him.
Sherman doesn't make that tackle, he's the free safety. Everybody else had blitzed up through the holes, and he was the last line of defense.
Yep. Otherwise, Ki-Jana's got another big number.
Darrell Kenya punting for Penn State.
All right, Herman O'Berry is waiting for Darrell Kenya's punt. Big series right there for the Oregon defense, I think. One fellow may be lined up in the neutral zone. Kick is out of there. Good. Oh, that is a very good kick. Berry retreats all the way to the 22-yard line. There's a penalty flag down, and O'Berry is taken down by Stephen Pitts. And that's the second time that Pitts has been very prominent in kick coverage.
Good kick and good coverage.
And I think we've got a penalty coming here against the Oregon Ducks. That was a 50-yard punt and a loss of a yard on the return.
50 yards on the punt.
Might very well have been a push in the back. But they're not indicating that, so we'll finally get a call here after they've sorted it out from their meeting.
Here is a block in the back on the receiving team.
Yep.
Post finish kick foul. We'll go from the end of the kick. 10 yards. First.
You can see the look of Rich Brooks. That's quite definitive.
Here's a look at the possessions for Oregon. They had it 8 times. They scored on their second possession and should have scored on their second last. They had it on the Penn State 33 and missed the field goal. Here are the leaders. O'Neal with a great first half, 278 yards. Whittle leads the rushers, and Wilcox and McLemore lead the receivers.
They're just outside the 10-yard line for the first down after the penalty. And they give it to Whittle, and Whittle is taken down up around the 12. Todd Atkins, number 58 for Penn State, has been a very solid defensive performer for the Lions so far today.
He's got a couple of sacks under his belt already.
But he's been there. He's been there.
Oh, no, you're exactly
all the ways
right.
around, yeah. Give him a yard on the carry. O'Neal flips it out to Whittle. Whittle looking for some help on the corner. Didn't get it. Picked up a couple of yards. And again, Lynch won.
Well, Keith, you know Rich Brooks was very upset at the end of the first half when he didn't get a chance to kick the field goal. McLemore didn't get out of bounds. When I talked to him, he said, I'm not going to change anything we're doing on offense or defense. The kids are playing hard. They're playing strong. We just have to take advantage of our opportunities, and we didn't do that in the first half. And he says physically, he believes this young man can play with Penn State. Penn State's obviously bigger, but Oregon is going to be in a fight, and he believes they can win it.
They're quicker. Oregon's quicker.
And they've got heart.
3rd down and 6. They're 1 out of 7 on 3rd down conversions. O'Neal's got a problem. Now you need to throw it, but he can't do it. He can't pull that trigger in those circumstances.
The reason he can't pull the trigger, there's nobody open, Keith.
Nobody downfield.
Nobody open.
Normally when your quarterback scrambles, you got to go with him, and nobody went with him. He didn't have any choice but to run out of bounds. So Penn State ought to come out of this with pretty good field position. First they get a 50-yard punt from Kenya. Oregon loses a yard on the return. Belden needs one of those howitzers he hit to close the first half. Mike Archie standing back at about his own 40. Belden's punt, not bad. And he's got Archie in a fair catch back at the 39. That's a very good point. Punt by the freshman from Arizona.
A lot of champagne glasses have been used to prove how smooth a car can be at high speed. Surely, a toast is in order for a truck that can do the same.
Dodge Ram. The rules have changed. At America's truck stop, the new Dodge.
Business is the engine of society. Without it, there would be no jobs, no products, no competition, no advancements. Business is the engine of society. See how far it takes you. See how far it takes us all. This is the software that moves you forward.
I know it's a new school, honey, but you'll make lots of friends.
Attention, class. Meet our new student, Timothy Hayes. Lunch break, class.
His name is Timmy. It's sort of a surprise.
Hi. Timmy Hayes?
Yes?
Your pizzas are here. Pizza Hut announces 2 large one-topping pan pizzas for just $13.
Anyone want some pizza?
It's a class act.
Hi.
You love the stuff we made on Pizza Hut.
Golf's big winners in 1994 tee it up in the first battle of the new year. Don't miss the final round of the Mercedes Championship Sunday on ABC Sports.
This is Penn State's best starting position for a possession of the ball game at their 40. First down, Freddie Scott, number 31. He has not seen the ball much today. He's in motion. Kerry Collins looking for him. There it is. And it's a first down. Right about the 50-yard line. How'd you know that? I just think he's due. He's a terrific pass receiver. And they haven't used him much. And he's been open a lot.
Well, they've been open. Both wide receivers have been open because, again, of the 7- and 8-man front that they want to not only blitz, but also stop the run of Ki-Jana Carter.
First and 10.
Whatever it is they're doing can't be too bad, is it?
That's right.
14-7 ball game.
Yeah, they're in the ball game.
Mike Archie replacing Carter in the backfield. Goes in motion. Here's Kerry Collins. You drop it off to Archie looking for a screen. Got loose on the sidelines. And Jeff Sherman, the free safety, knocks him out.
Collins passing to Mike
Oh, they're airing it out here to start the second half of play.
Randy Gantner, the offensive coordinator, was one of his concerns prior to the game was the blitz package of Oregon and how would they do it and would he be able to pick it up? Well, he's adjusted a little bit, as Lynn said. He talked to Paterno. They're blitzing a little bit differently. They've had time to adjust to it.
Ball is at the 33, first down. For the Lions.
But they're faking it now.
Give it to Archie. And they're still keyed to the run. You got Kenny Wheaton, number 20 now. He's the right cornerback or the nickel back, and he's at the bottom of the stack at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. They put Wheaton in, which is a 5th defensive back, and take out one of their linebackers. So it's a 4 defensive linemen, 2 and 5 linebackers. And he's just as good a tackler as he is coverage guy.
Second down and 10. Collins hit as he throws. The pass is incomplete. Pass intended for the tight end Kyle Brady. And Kenny Wheaton jumped Brady pretty well that time, and Kerry Collins got flattened.
Incomplete. Knocked away by
Tomorrow night, ABC, the new year, bringing new episodes of all your Tuesday favorites, Full House, Me and the Boys, Home Improvement, Grace Under Fire, and NYPD Blue. So it's a happy new year tomorrow night here on ABC. Third down and 10. I don't know where they got 11. They got 11 on the scoreboard, but I don't know why. Collins looking for it again, throws a bullet, and he drills it to Freddie Scott.
Freddie Scott.
And he's short of the first down.
Gain of 9 yards.
He caught the ball just over the 25, and he had to go to the 23. So Brett Conway trots onto the field, and he will try a field goal.
Brent Conway attempting the field goal.
They will spot the ball right about the 32. Plenty of leg. Got it. Oh, no, he missed it. Pulled it out. And the Lions come away empty.
That's the 4th missed field goal in this game today. 2 on either side.
Tried to pull it back, wouldn't come back. That's the 3rd one. It's been wide right, too. So maybe they are slipping a little bit on the grass. Timeout.
You're looking at millions of dollars of lost savings. Savings you never received because your business used AT&T. Which is why when it comes to savings, hundreds of thousands of businesses are demanding proof. MCI will analyze your AT&T bill and give you proof positive, written proof of how much your business can save by switching to MCI. So call MCI and see how much of this is yours.
Its double wishbone suspension elevates your feel of the road. Its multi-valve engine and speed-sensitive steering elevate your sense of control, while its looks, well, they will elevate your mood. Introducing the all-new Dodge Avenger. It's more than just a car. It's an elevator.
Red Dog here. Look at him. Making fools of themselves. And for what? A pat on the head and a dog biscuit?
What do you think of that?
You got a mind of your own.
Oh.
Know what I'm saying? Do what's right for you. Hey, buddy, nothing personal.
Red Dog beer. Bold yet smooth, easy to drink.
But I don't jump through hoops for nobody.
Is Metavoy being hounded by a gypsy curse?
I am not a person who responds to threats. And why would my gums all of a sudden stop bleeding?
An all-new Blue. Tuesday, viewer discretion advised.
Tom Osborne's cousin lives up there. That's right up behind the Rose Bowl. Well, it's never happened that a team in first place won its postseason game was voted out of first place. Never happened. First down for the Oregon Ducks. The ball at the 25-yard line. Danny O'Neill back, has time. Now they flush him, and he's going to pick up some at about 7 yards on the play. Don't be running around too much and letting those big old boys like Gelsheiser and Jeff Perry jump on you. They'll flatten your tire.
Well, O'Neill didn't realize that they had gone from a 4-man line to a 3, dropped 5 men deep in the short zones and 3 deep behind them. So I think Jerry Sandusky, just defensive coordinator, moving his defenses around, goes to another 3-man line, and both outside linebackers blitz.
Dino Filio in the backfield now, and they run him up close to the 35. Depends on the spot whether or not he's got his first down.
Stewart making the tackle.
And he does not. Going to go across the 35.
Gain of
3rd and a half a yard. 8 minutes and 49 seconds of the clock running. 14-7, Penn State leading the Oregon Ducks. O'Neill trying for the first down. His second effort may have gotten it, but I don't think so. I don't think he got it. Penn State just absolutely collapsed the offensive front, and it's going to be 4th down.
Todd Atkins making the tackle.
Look at the line of scrimmage. The center gets stuffed. That's Greg. But Zeke, number 51, was right there. So it's a good defensive line charge by the Lions.
And it may be Gelsheiser that's down. Looks like 16 down. So there's the boss man of the defense right there, flat of his back as they work on his leg. Tonight in the USF&G Insurance Sugar Bowl game, rematch, Florida State and Florida. Gators had the Seminoles locked in the teepee, and they got loose in the regular season game. And that could just be a war. I mean, it'll just be a war. You know it will. And it's coming after the Rose Bowl.
Danny Cannell, I think, maybe have come of age in that ball game, the second half against Florida. Gelsheiser is walking off. Looks like it's an ankle problem or something. He'll be missed. He was the number 2 tackler in all of the Big Ten this year.
All right, they'll punt it on 4th and a half a yard, or a full yard now. That's a good snap. No pressure though. The kick's out of there. Mike Archie has to back up and let it bounce. And it gets an Oregon roll and keeps on trickling, and will finally expire at about the 21-yard line. Turns out to be a 45-yard punt, and we've got 7 minutes and 54 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter.
Salih Malapai, the Samoan, and on his stomach. Look at that. Now, Keith, I'm told, I don't know, but Turian tells me that you may have Sherman Oaks across your front.
Not a chance. Not unless I fix my house. 21-yard line for Penn State with Carter and Milne in the backfield. And Collins throwing on first down. Down the middle. Pass complete. Kyle Brady tied in. Let me tell you something about Brady now. He's 6'6", 260 pounds. Your safeties are the people who have to deal with him. And they are Chad Cota, 6'1" and 190-91. He's more than 181. Jeff Sherman at about 180. So they're giving away height, 5 inches. They're giving away about 70 pounds or more.
This kid is the best ever tight end that has played at Penn State. They had a good receiving tight end in Ted Qualick a few years back, but as far as blocking and receiving the whole package, Kyle Brady is the best that Joe Paterno has had. In fact, he said that Kerry Collins has played as well as any quarterback that he has had there, and that Ki-Jana Carter has run as well as all of his great backs, Kurt Warner and the other ones included. And you know, that's pretty strong when you've got 3 guys on your offense, best position players ever.
That's Freddie Scott in motion. He leaves Ingram on the near side as the wide man handed to the up man, the fullback, number 22, Brian Milne. Boy, I tell you, these two fullbacks are they are big.
This offense is averaging 48 points a game. They are the #1 scoring offense in the country and the #1 offense in the country as far as total yards are concerned.
Gain of 3
Ball
yards.
is at the 35-yard line, 2nd down and 7 for the Nittany Lions. They're leading 14-7. Oregon again lines them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Here they come.
Pass is away, and the pass is incomplete. Alex Molden covering Freddie Scott. That's a pretty good matchup there. There's no inhibitions about Molden and O'Berry. They'll take you on man and run all over the field with you.
Well, here's what you're getting. The linebacker is blitzing. You're going to have 6 guys coming. When you do that, everybody in the secondary is matched up. You see Sherman at the top of your screen is matched up. He throws the other way. You just have to get open. And Scott didn't get open.
Somebody had a hold of him as he let the ball go, too. On 3rd down, Kerry Collins has time to pump it, then takes a lick, completes the pass. 1st down. Thrown to Juravicius. It was Juravicius who made the catch on the big play that set up the go-ahead touchdown. Now he comes up with another big play.
And Juravicius, as you mentioned, probably has gotten less playing time than all the other wide receivers.
He's 6'5", he's 220 pounds. He's a redshirt freshman from Charleston, Ohio.
And I think one of the reasons he's able to get open is because of his size, Keith.
Yep.
6'5" and 220, as you mentioned. He can just, if he just positions himself inside the corner, he's open.
It's become Kerry Collins' ball game now, hasn't it?
Yep.
Back to throw again on 1st down to the sideline. The pass is complete to Mike Archie. And Archie has what appears to be another 1st down or very close to it.
Mike Archie.
It'll be on the Oregon side of the field near the 46-yard line.
And as you mentioned, it's Collins' game now, and it really plays into the strength of the Ducks because their strength is their secondary. They've stopped Carter, Ki-Jana Carter. Other than that first run of the game, their strength is in their secondary. They're forcing Collins to throw the ball against that secondary.
Yeah, but somebody's got to get in the quarterback's face. The best secondary in the world isn't going to do much if you give that guy like that time to stand around and survey.
That's why the blitzing. The 5 and 6 men come to put pressure because the defensive line is not the strength of this defensive team.
The size of Kerry Collins impressive, though. The Michigan game earlier this year when he shook big old Steve Morrison off his back and threw a rope for a pass completion. He sold me right there.
Yeah.
He's about 235 or so pounds. He stands 6'5".
He's only been sacked 5 times this year.
That's testimony to those blue-collar guys in front of him. Archie and Whitman in the backfield. 2nd down and very short. Collins dancing around. They're coming after him, but he gets his pass away. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Reggie Jordan. And Jordan is knocked out of bounds down at the 17-yard line. John Whitman saved the touchdown.
That's another blitz. There's 6 men putting pressure. Brady, number 81, is being covered by Jordan, 47, a linebacker. He's also got help behind him from Coda.
Bad news for Oregon in the aftermath of this play. Rich Rue, number 48, the inside linebacker, is hurt. So we've got a timeout for Rich Rue right now at 5:35 to go in the 3rd quarter.
We were looking for the most significant vehicle in the market. We weighed technological advancement, value, and performance. Introducing Chrysler Cirrus, Motor Trend's Car of the Year. Chrysler Cirrus. It's not just a step above, it's the new plateau.
Look, I appreciate the fact that fast food is fairly inexpensive.
Only 99 cents.
I know it's convenient and all that, but if I'm gonna give you 99 of my cents, you're gonna have to give me more than just some burger. I mean, is it a Whopper? Is it flame broil or is it fried? Can I get it how I want it?
Your way.
Or am I gonna be scraping gobs of secret sauce off the bun? I mean, I can get a roll of duct tape for 99 cents. Doesn't mean I want to make it my lunch.
The 99-cent Whopper, now at Burger King.
Billions of years ago, the only place to get a nice gift was the airport. A good meal, the airport. Rent a wheel, the airport. That's why Thrifty Car Rental opened in your neighborhood. Now we're making it easier than ever before to rent really great wheels at very neighborly rates. And if you're at the airport, we're in that neighborhood too. Your neighborhood Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates.
ABC Sports coverage of the 1995 Rose Bowl, brought to you by Pizza Hut. You love the stuff we're made of. And the Chrysler Corporation and its divisions judge us by our performance. Oregon's ball, first down, Penn State 17-yard line after Reggie Jordan's first interception. Rich Rule walked off the field. Gelheisers is back for Penn State, having had an ankle retaped. And it's Whittle and Jones lined up behind Danny O'Neill. They've not been in the air yet in this half. By Jones, fullback out of Lafayette, California, and Gelsheiser is right there. You could hear that one all the way in Pomona as they ran together.
Gelsheiser put on some other shoes. He get some high tops on.
Well, they retaped his ankle, and they are high tops, yes.
No gain.
He's had ankle trouble, I think.
Looks like he put some white tape over those high tops.
Yep. There was nothing on that play. Nothing. So it is second down and 10.
Oregon had 29 passes first half, none yet this half.
O'Neill's pass to the corner. Gotta be good.
I don't think he came down in bounds.
Kristen McLemore. He was carried out on the shoulders of a Penn State defender. The officials have signaled nothing.
Yeah, he signaled touchdown.
Where?
The one man down there, the one official signaled touchdown. But you got to get a foot in bounds. This is not the NFL rule where if you're pushed out. Let's take a look.
They carried him out, clearly.
I don't think he got a foot in. This is not the NFL where if you're carried out, the official judgment, if he doesn't get a foot in bounds on his own, he's out of bounds.
It is a touchdown. It is a touchdown, folks. Here's the kick. And he just barely got it through. So Belden's having a hard time with this place kicking stuff today. But we're tied at 14 with 4 minutes and 54 seconds to play in the third quarter.
It's from the other side of the field. McLemore, great leaping ability.
He's clearly out of bounds, but it's also clear that they're carrying him. So I still haven't seen anybody call touchdown.
Still can't see
I guess
clearly.
The man
this is
standing
the best
over there
shot.
in the back corner did.
Whether one of his feet get down. Let's see. Yeah, right there. And I don't know. You know, I don't know if that official was looking. If that official was looking at the foot or not, but it was awfully close.
Whew. Well, it's pretty exciting stuff. 14-14. Only one man threw up his hands, and I couldn't find him over there in the corner. So Oregon has pulled even with the Nittany Lions at 14, and will kick off now. Ambrose Fletcher at the 7. That's fresh legs. Finally got him.
Those fresh
21-yard line.
His fresh legs wore out, didn't they?
Yeah, but it makes a difference. Isaac Walker, a cornerback, finally ran him down at the Oregon 21. So the Ducks get themselves pinned in the middle of the field, and the Nittany Lions blow them out of the water.
Well, Collins makes a mistake. Oregon turns it into a touchdown, and Penn State comes right back and shows its grit on its special teams. The kickoff return team makes a big play, and Penn State has it on about the 21-yard line.
4:40 to play in the third quarter. 14-14 tie. This is Carter. And Ki-Jana Carter is taken down by Kenny Wheaton at about the 17-yard line. So that's a pickup of 4 yards. Carter's been pretty quiet since that big opening run. 32 yards, a couple of fumbles. They have really been on his case. Second down, 6.
Here they come.
Carter again. He's gone.
Yeah.
Wide open left side. Bang. Penn State comes right back and regains the lead. But it was the kickoff return that did it. Oregon got pinned in the middle. And the Nittany Lions buried him. And from the 21, it was pretty easy.
Nick Aliotti, the defensive coordinator, says we're going to gamble. Look at all these guys blitzing, and there's going to be a huge hole up inside. Offensive line does a nice job. That's Conlon, number 53, comes across and gets a block. It may be one of the easiest touchdowns.
Took 1 minute and 1 second.
Carter ever scored.
And Conway is good on the point. Oh, Nick now has got to regroup his troops at 3:53 to play in the third quarter.
Here's a look from behind the defense. Asher 44 on a blitz. Conlon 53 picks him up. Look at that size of that hole. What happens when you gamble, you live by the blitz. Sometimes you're going to hit it at the right time. And what you want to do is create a crease in there. And there are no defensive backs or linebackers if they're all blitzing left to make a tackle.
The Goodyear Blimp Eagles giving you these aerial pictures. Glenn Hampton, the cameraman. Goodyear Blimps traveling over 100,000 miles each year, covering major events, not necessarily sports, a lot of different kinds of events. Great picture platform. When you see the blimp in town, you know something's going on.
Penn State was tied, and it didn't take them long. 2 plays, 21 yards. Didn't take them long to score.
2.14 is their average. Average
2 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah.
78 scoring drives coming into the game, averaging 2 minutes and 14 seconds.
We're getting down into the point, too, where you start wondering about depth, manpower depth.
Well, that was certainly
a cool day. It's a cool day, so that
played a factor last night in Nebraska's win over Miami, didn't it? Fourth quarter.
Yep. Well back in the end zone, no return by Whittle. They'll bring it out to the 20.
Ricky Whittle downs the ball in the end zone.
Well, they've shut down that little wide receiver screen move, that play they like. They haven't done anything with that lately. They've changed up the defense and got some confusion for Danny O'Neill to look at. Josh Wilcox has been shut down here in the third quarter. So the Ducks now need to look around and see if they can find another 2.
It's right. Penn State adjusted defensively. So look at Josh. He's healthy. Jerry Sandusky made some adjustments. Now Oregon has to react to those adjustments. How about
Bill, on a screen. Yeah, he got some room. Oh, my goodness. He might have scored because he had McLemore going downfield, and McLemore could have picked off Jason Collins, and it would have been 6. But somebody just got the top of his foot.
Gain of 20 yards.
From the other side, Ricketts, number 3, is going to get a nice block inside on one of the linebackers. You're not going to see it, but
Gelsheiser.
Gelsheiser that got a piece of him?
Yep. He's a good one. First down for the Ducks now, up at the 40. Neal's over 300 yards. Look out, Willie Smith's coming. Pass down the middle. That'll be picked off. Bad pass. And Nittany Lions are cooking. It is Chuck Penzinik who made his first start in this ball game. This is his second interception. He runs it all the way back to the 13-yard line. What kind of a story do you think that is? Here is a kid that moved over to a position he had not played this year. He got his first start. His palms were like 2 rainstorms when he came to the ballpark today. And all of a sudden, he's having the game of his life.
Here's Penzinik, and they're trying to hit the square end. And the problem is, he's just going to throw the ball too high and right to Penzinik. It's a little play action. They're trying to get the safety to bite. Penzinik is staying deep. Deep middle, the ball is overthrown.
Yeah, that was Oregon's mistake. No question about it. It was a mistake by Danny. He just threw the ball.
Tried to force it.
Tried to force it. Too many white shirts. And here's Penn State knocking on the door.
Pass.
From the back it comes to Collins. Collins is hit just as he catches the ball. And he will pick up a couple of yards as Herman O'Berry spelled that one coming. See, Mike Archie had a touchdown pass earlier in the season, you know, and he's been whooping that pretty good.
He's 2 for 2. And both of them were for touchdowns. So he's saying, oh, shucks. He says, Todd, Kerry Collins, you got to get in the end zone here. Come on. You're running my average.
It'll be second down and 8 for the Lions at the Oregon 11-yard line. Ducks defense needs to get its backup right here. Ki-Jana Carter and Brian Milne in the backfield, and that's Scott in motion. And it's Carter with the ball. Oh, I tell you, he is quick in traffic. He has great balance. Big, thick, strong legs.
He's the best I've seen, Keith. We've seen a lot of them this year, but he's got a good offensive line, and he's got a tight end that can block, and he's got fullbacks that can block. Conlon gets rid of Asher, but this kid, he reminds me of Emmitt Smith. He is strong, and he is built low to the ground. Penn State has blockers everywhere. The tight end can block, the fullbacks can block, and tailback benefits from all of that.
It is first and goal for Penn State at the Oregon 3. 21-14, Nittany Lions have the lead as we head toward the end of the 3rd quarter. Defense, Penn State defense is the difference in this game. Now, it was the offense early on. This is Carter, and he's touchdown. So, Penzinik comes up with the interception, the big return, and the offense just sticks it right into the end zone.
Watch here as the whole line is going to come off, and the play is just going to come around on the left side. Nobody pulls. Tight end got his man. Whitman has a man. Just straight blocking.
Brett Conway for the extra point. Good. In case you're curious about how long it took Penn State to score after they got possession, well, the first one was 13 seconds. The second was 2 minutes and 22 seconds. The third one was 1 minute and 1 second, and this one was 1 minute and 16 seconds.
What's the rush?
That's probably what the defensive guys are saying.
Yeah, you're exactly
Wait a minute.
right.
Take some time.
Brady, Whitman's 38. fullback. Offensive line, Johnson and Rivera. Hardings is the All-American. Conlon, Greeley, the center.
And they've been running that play and doing that. Successful teams have since before Canute Rockney, folks. Ain't nothing fancy there.
You're exactly right.
It's just button heads and big fast people beating little fast people.
Yeah.
Dino Filiaw, number 12, is back there with Ricky Whittle now, the deep people for the Oregon Ducks, as the Nittany Lion coaches continue to work. It's surprising how many people will blossom for you after a regular season and going into a postseason game. That's why it's so valuable for coaches to get into postseason games. They get those extra days of training.
Practice time.
Yep.
Especially for the freshmen and sophomores.
Long driving kick back inside the end zone and beyond, and it'll come back to the 20. That's where the Ducks will go to work. 2 minutes and 1 second. They've been very quiet here in the third quarter. Had that one play where they almost broke him down the sideline.
First and 10, Oregon.
We've got 693 yards total in this game. 347 by Penn State, 346 by the Oregon Ducks. 28-14, Nittany Lions. Now let's see if the Ducks can do some responding. Danny O'Neill hands it off to Dwayne Jones, and Jones on a quick hitter over the left side. We'll have about 5, maybe 6 yards.
By Brian Gelsheiser.
So much conversation.
Phil.
Some people call it hype, and I guess that's what it was. But it was a wearing experience for everybody involved as between the two undefeated teams. Nebraska, Tom Osborne, Penn State, Joe Paterno. I mean, these are two of the highest quality people in the game of college football.
Class people.
Yep. That ball is thrown right through the hands of Dameron Ricketts. And they're friends. So I asked Joe the other day in a quiet moment his feelings about Nebraska winning in the Orange Bowl against Miami. And here's what he said.
The press can say what they want, newspaper people, television, anybody can say what they want, but nobody can take away from the fact that we did what we set out to do, and that was to win all our football games, get to the Rose Bowl, and if we can, win the Rose Bowl. And, you know, my mom, when I was a kid growing up, when the kids used to call me, in the neighborhood we were in, they'd call me WAP and things like that, and I'd come home crying. My mom would used to say to me, nobody can make you feel inferior unless you let them. And nobody can take a national championship away from us if we win all our football games, because we're going to feel as if we're national champions.
And that's the way he feels. That's what he said all along. Now, Tom Osborne and his Nebraska Cornhuskers appear that they're going to get the vote. You heard what Tom said earlier today. He has an even keel about it. He doesn't have control of it. He's not involved in a game that'll decide it. He's got to wait for people to cast ballots. 32-yard line. And O'Neill back. Throws to Whittle. Whittle's in trouble with Willie Smith. Gets away from him, but steps out of bounds. Steps out of bounds right about the line of scrimmage. So I don't know. All my feelings, and I've made it as clear as I can make it. I think this would have been a great year to have had 4 teams, top 4 teams after the bowl games play 2 weeks. And you could have at least had a test run. Got some feeling about it.
Well, you've got the coalition set up this year, and next year it's going to be the alliance, where they're trying to get the top teams to play each other. The problem is that the Rose Bowl is not involved in the alliance. You know, Keith, I mean, I'm not against a playoff, but if you can convince me that it wouldn't hurt the bowl system as we know it today. This is a great bowl.
Yes, it is.
We've got
That's Whittle with the ball, and he's got an Oregon first down up on the 45-yard line.
And over 100,000 people here today. But you tell me this. If Penn State, the fans, or the Oregon fans, if Penn State was number 2 like they are, and there was going to be another game next week between the 2 undefeated teams, if Penn State came out of this in Nebraska, and you were back in Pennsylvania, and you couldn't afford 2 trips.
15-yard game, first and 10.
And the championship game was going to be wherever, in New Orleans or in Miami or wherever. You couldn't afford 2 trips. All you could afford was 1 trip. Would this stadium be full, or would the one next week and not affect the bowl game?
That's a defensive play by the Penn State Nittany Lions' Terry Killens, who came boring in on a bull rush and knocked the Oregon man down back at the 40-yard line. Well, I don't know. The only problem I got with it is I don't want to see control of things get in the hands of bowl promoters. I think the college people have still got to keep control of it. And that's the first thing I look at. As we come down to the end of the third quarter, we'll be back with more of the 95 Rose Bowl after this message and a word from our ABC station.
Auto registration in the green line. License renewal.
Gee, I love renewing my license. What a happy place. Or is it these new Doritos? It's great here. Such friendly service. All these smiling faces. Or is it the chip? Everyone's just so eager to help. I wish I could do this more often.
New Doritos tortilla chips. So good they flavor the way you look at life.
Isn't bureaucracy beautiful?
When we asked two-time Indy winner Emerson Fittipaldi to be involved in the development of the Chrysler Cirrus, it wasn't to have him help sell the car. It was to have him help refine it. He pushed it to the limits around the track. He made suggestions. The engineers listened. The engineers made suggestions, and he listened. The result of this collaboration is a specially modified double wishbone suspension system unlike any other on the road today. The Chrysler Cirrus, Motor Trend's car of the year. It's not just a step above. It's the new plateau.
Day One is back with Sawyer and Sawyer from ABC News. Great stories well told. Day One returns Thursday at 10, 9 Central.
It's not advanced technology. It's who's behind it. It's not the ball. It's how it's delivered. It's not just the phone. It's the people who make it ring. It's the people who are always there for you. It's the people at GTE MobileNet. More than cellular phones, cellular service. Please let us know how we can serve you.
Oregon, 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 Oregon. Oregon, 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 Oregon.
We go to the final 15 minutes, and it's put-up time for the Oregon Ducks. They're looking at second down and 16. They trail 28-14. They have the ball at their own 40-yard line. Danny O'Neill back. Has pretty good protection. His pass is away to Kristen McLemore. And McLemore gets a pretty good gain out of it before he is knocked out on the Penn State side of the field.
But if you like offense, you'll like these numbers, big numbers, everywhere you look, total number of plays. Interesting one right here for Oregon. 336 yards passing is the most against any opponent for Penn State this year. 2 turnovers, both of them have led to the opponent scoring 1 touchdown.
Third down and 4. Third and 4. O'Neill's pass to McLemore in the middle of the field, and he's got a first down as he's inside the 30. Kristen McLemore from Huntington Beach, California.
One of the best routes in college football, pro football, is a slant, about three steps down, and he doesn't really break it off. He doesn't have to, because Penn State playing a 3-deep zone. The slants are there, and that was a good throw by O'Neill to McLemore.
8 catches, 80 yards for Chris. Same thing, except misses Ricketts. He missed Cameron Ricketts with it. Threw it a little quickly, maybe.
Pass intended for Ricketts.
Well, it'll be second down and 10. The ball is at the Penn State 28-yard line. It's been a tough, hard football game.
You know, Rich Brooks has done a great job, Keith. The preseason polls, the people who were supposed to know had him picked last and next to last in the Pac-10 conference. They are the Cinderella team, unquestionably. They beat Southern Cal. They beat Arizona and Washington to get here.
O'Neill doesn't have anybody to throw to. Now throws it in the ground.
And then they all look around.
Yep. There was nobody over there. Nobody went with him.
Yeah, there was.
Your quarterback scrambling, one for his life. You got to go the same direction.
Yeah. Riddle was over there just enough to allow him to throw the ball into the ground.
What are they doing to Wilcox? We haven't heard anything from Josh the whole second half. One time. Caught the ball one time.
But he had 7 catches at half. Well, he caught 19 all year coming in.
Third down. O'Neill steps up. Throws. Good. He is. Tried to get it to Wilcox, and Marlon Forbes got a hand on it and knocked it away.
Pass intended for Josh Wilcox.
There's Wilcox. Now watch, as a linebacker. Yaboa Cody, 43. They're all backing up. Gelsheiser's backing up. There's Forbes. He's just playing the area. Now his man got in the area. He'll play him a little bit. Just knocked it away.
All right, here comes Belden with a man-sized field goal try.
Might be a fake here if you got one.
Might be. He's going to mark it right about the 45. It's up. And he can't buy one. That thing stayed right, started right, stayed right.
Hit the bar,
that way all day. Hit the bar.
Hit the upright.
So he's 0 for 3 on field goals. And with 14-11 to play, it is 28-14 Penn State.
Gather up your ideas. Run with them. Where do you want to go today?
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours the very best of everything this holiday season.
Ford Mustang GT. It is what it was, and more.
Wednesday, take a peek at an all-new Roseanne.
I can't stop looking.
They're completely naked all the time. Sometimes he wears a hat.
An all-new Roseanne Wednesday on ABC.
There's a look at the field goal. Good snap, good hold. Belden gets it up. It's just going to hit the upright.
3 wide rights.
There's Rich Brooks. They may not be the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but I think that right there shows you why Rich Brooks has been a successful coach for a long time. Cares about his kids, and he'll be back.
Kerry Collins wanted to let it go. Now he does. He's got Bobby Ingram back there, and it is incomplete. And he was in a full-scale duel with Jeff Sherman, the free safety.
Collins pass intended for Bobby Ingram, incomplete.
I went up there.
Defending Jeff Sherman on the play.
Spent a day with him, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I can say over the years, all the games that I've been involved in with Joe Paterno's football team, I have never failed to enjoy being around his team.
Yeah. It's been such a delightful week. I'll never get the image of those two dancing, Joe with Sue at the director's dinner the other night, and Rich with his wife Karen, and they were the only two on the dance floor. And then Joe went over and switched, traded wives, and they danced for a while, and everybody there applauded.
Well, it's supposed to be a festival. That's why the the ball games, the bull games, are perhaps important in the sense that they are supposed to be festival. But we insist on heaping all manners of hype and pressure on top of the kids, and it's pretty hard sometimes to have a festival when the media insists on loading them up. 3rd down and 7. That's a good play by Molden on Bobby Ingram. I'll tell you what, those two corners, O'Berry and Molden, and Wheaton, when he's in the ball game, have done a job on the wide receivers of Penn State.
Single coverage. Collins went to the right man. Molden, the defensive back, did his job. He had him covered.
Harold Kenny is on the field, 42, 36, 39, and 50. Now here's Pat Johnson, the speed burner for Oregon, back for the first time today as a kick returner. I think this is part of his future, too, because he has such speed. Once he learns to play the game, look out. That one slid off the foot. Bounced right back to where Pat Johnson was, but there are too many white shirts around it. And it'll roll dead at the Oregon 27. 42-yard punt.
Introducing Ford Contour. Gold, a world car for the 21st century. Result, world-class technology in 2 all-new engines, including a 24-valve V6 that runs 100,000 miles between recommended tune-ups. Outstanding safety features, from dual airbags to a steel safety shell, even a filtration system that removes virtually all dust and pollen from the air. The totally new Ford Contour, well equipped for just $14,655.
A week of scout camp. How hard could it be? Yeah.
I'm your new troop leader. We're going to chop wood and dig a ditch from here to there. Any questions?
Bet you can't eat just one.
Kid, I once went an entire week without breathing.
New Wavy Lay's Hidden Valley Ranch flavor. Bet you can't eat just one.
Keeper!
Hidden Valley's a special ranch. Wavy Lay's are special potato chips.
Is that Johnson's team behind us?
Exactly.
Are they members of Hertz #1 Club Gold?
Exactly.
Are we members of Hertz #1?
Not exactly.
So thanks to Hertz, they're going to get to the meeting on time.
And we'll be late?
So exactly what will I tell the boss?
In Rent-A-Car, there's Hertz, and there's not exactly. Make sure you choose the right one.
And then a dog in the cargo hold ate our presentation.
Is he buying it?
Not exactly.
The USF&G Sugar Bowl is next on ABC. Bobby Bowden and Steve Spurrier met at the 40-yard line just moments ago. We'll be underway. It's a rematch. Florida and Florida State. Right now, back we go to Keith Jackson and Bob Greasy.
All right, Brett, you guys are in for some fun down there in Newlands tonight, I think. 28-14 here, Penn State. Oregon with the ball now at their own 27-yard line. Dino Filio, the single back for the Ducks. Daddy O'Neill. Not much on the play as Tony Pittman stepped right up on Filio in a hurry. The Big Ten, of course, trying to win their 3rd in a row against the Pac-10 if the Nittany Lions close the door on this one. I know some of you perhaps wondering about the future of Ki-Jana Carter. Nobody knows what it is, not even Ki-Jana perhaps at this point in time. O'Neill steps away from the pressure, turns it upfield, and runs for very close to the first down. Depends on where they give him the mark. May not have given him the first down.
On the run.
Joe Paterno telling us
Chris Mazik
days ago that after the season he intends to sit down with Ki-Jana and his mother and hash it over a little bit.
Also,
he was redshirted his first. This is his 4th year in school.
Interesting as they bring the chains on that Joe Paterno has had unbeaten teams in 1968 that finished second, 1969 that finished second in the national polls I'm talking about. It is a first down by just a smidgen. 1973, an unbeaten team finished fifth. 1986, they finally got one. But here he is again, going to probably finish the season undefeated and finish second.
Well,
in the national poll.
Yeah, but he also won a national championship when he lost a game one year.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, in '82.
That's Kristen McLemore with the ball. And a pickup of close to 7-8 yards.
The amazing thing about Joe, in his 29 years, and this is his 29th season as head coach at Penn State, he has had 7 undefeated regular seasons where he's gone through the regular season.
Well, that 78 team was a great team. Chuck Ucina, Mike Coleman, Matt Stewart, all those guys, you know, lost to Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. One of the great college football games of all time. Second down and 4, short 4. There's your first down. It's still Yaw. And Dino moves it to the Penn State side of the field, the 48-yard line. O'Neal is now over 400 yards in total offense.
There's a look from up above, the Goodyear blimp.
First and 10.
Billy on number 12, just going to slide out. O'Neal does a nice job of setting this up. And then the speed burner.
Ball loose. He came away, came off the snap, didn't stay down under it, and the ball got loose. And O'Neal covers it. Danny is saying, get that building off of me.
Ball recovered by Danny O'Neal.
Loss on that play of about 4 yards. At least a good 3. Second down and 13. 12-10 to play in the game. 28-14. The ball is slapped down. Intended for Kristen McLemore, and Willie Smith dropping off. The outside linebacker knocked it down. So it'll bring up 3rd and 13. Saturday, January 14, season premiere of the Professional Bowlers Tour. Begins with the AC Delco Classic. And the national champion Razorbacks of Arkansas meet Auburn. Duke plays Virginia. You'll have other regional games as Pizza Hut College basketball begins January 14 here on ABC Sports. 3rd down, big play here for the Ducks. Yeboah Cody got him. What a good play by Phil Yeboah Cody from Montreal.
He's going to beat the back from the left side. Watches Philio, number 12, steps out to block. The first problem is he didn't step close enough to the line of scrimmage. Secondly, he tried to cut him, and Yeboah Cody, great athletic ability, just jumps over him and takes him down with one hand.
And they'll punt. Belden. Archie waiting. Didn't get it to turn, but it takes a good bounce. And rolls net at about the 13-yard line, a 47-yard punt. That's State College, Pennsylvania, I'll have you know. Now, everybody who wanted to come west couldn't, so they've had a week of festival activity at home. The Rose Bowl theme shown in the ice sculpture along South Allen Street. Their New Year's Eve midnight fireworks were rained out, but by that time it didn't matter a lot. Called First Night at State College, Pennsylvania. First down for the Nittany Lions, and this is Ki-Jana Carter. And they're able to keep him from turning the corner as Alex Molden, the cornerback, came up and pushed him out of bounds.
Well, we've been mentioning the blocking up front. Brady, number 81, watch him as he blocks down on the defensive end. That's Bailey, number 56, doing it by himself, and the follow-through. Stays with him and stays with him. That is very impressive, and that young man will be very popular when it's time to draft tight ends in the upcoming NFL draft. He will be a highly drafted kid, I guarantee you.
Oh, look at this. They swarmed him. Paul Jensen was the first man to get there. And Carter not only didn't get a second step that time, he really didn't get his first one.
Well, the last time you saw what's good when the offense dominates. Now watch as the linebackers mix up the blocking scheme for the offensive line. Linebackers coming in different gaps at different times. 7 and 8 people coming through the line of scrimmage.
Was too high and behind Bobby Ingram. You know, I'll tell you what, Bob, that big old Bucky Greeley, number 60, the center for Penn State, he's a chunk in the middle of that line, you know, and you don't knock him out of there much.
You know, he's underappreciated. You know, Harding's next to him is the All-American.
Darrell Kenya punting for Penn State.
Greeley is the captain. He made all-conference second team. Centers are the guys that usually are the smaller ones and the brighter ones that have to make all the line calls.
Oregon's going after this one. Kenya in the end zone. Should hit it about the 1-yard line. They've got 10 ducks up there. But he gets it out. And a fair catch as Johnson lets it go. Well,
better get out of the way of it, young man.
He called his fair catch, and by not catching the ball, he gave away 10 yards. Wound up a 42-yard punt.
The most amazing thing about Digital's new 486 75 megahertz computer isn't that it can fit in your briefcase. It's that it fits, full-size screen, keyboard, and all, in the envelopes in your briefcase. Introducing the Digital High Note Ultra. About 4 pounds light and 1 inch thin. The functionality of a notebook. The portability of, actually, an envelope.
And action! So when you get that craving for 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, remember, McDonald's Big Mac is only 95 cents all this month. Cut! Cut. Well, how did I do? Was it okay?
You just caused a major Big Mac attack. Can we move on, Mr. Townsend?
Sure. What's up next?
Egg McMuffin.
Is it 95 cents too?
Just for this month.
Then we'd better hurry up.
Monday. The day we get the world out of bed with a wake-up call of traffic horns, school bells, and factory whistles. And one truck is perfect for a busy day like today. Ford F-Series, with the most powerful diesel pickup engine ever, the convenience of a convertible console seat, and the safety of a standard airbag. More reasons why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck 17 years running. And that's a lot of Mondays.
There are the most important numbers you need to know. The time remaining and the score of the ball game. It is first down for the Oregon Ducks at their own 46-yard line. Danny O'Neill quickly to Ricketts. Cameron Ricketts running in the middle of the field. Will pick up the better part of 7 yards. O'Neill has 35 completions now, which is a new 34 completions, which is a new Rose Bowl record. That moves him past Ron Vanderkellen in that 1963 shootout between USC and Wisconsin. Here's Whittle. And Whittle getting down the sidelines for a big play and a first down at the Penn State 31-yard line. Whittle.
Getting the ball on screen plays to his best and fastest players. Ricketts on one play and Whittle on another.
He now totals 405 yards, and that also passes Ron Vanderkellen.
There's plenty of time left in this ball game, Keith.
31, Penn State. Willie Smith got him. Ball came out, but he was down. Willie Smith one-handed him and took him down for a loss back around the 35-yard line. ABC Sports coverage of the 1995 Rose Bowl brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? by McDonald's. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today. Hidden Valley Ranch flavor wavy lays. Bet you can't eat just one. I got one more after this play. O'Neill throws that one intended for Kristen McLemore, thrown behind him, and Chris really didn't have a chance to catch it. And Digital Equipment Corporation, makers of the new digital high-note Ultra Notebook computer. Those are our sponsors. Time remaining is 9:08 in the ball game.
Look at those numbers. He's only missed 13 passes.
Now it's crunch time. 3rd and 14. Smith again. No, it's not Smith. It's Terry Killens. Killens with a great play.
O'Neill's pass broken up by...
They've had some great linebackers here, Keith.
Yeah, that Killens is going to be a thing.
Yeah, he plays behind Willie Smith. Remember a linebacker that was at Penn State that didn't get much notoriety till he got out of the Penn State, and that was Jack Ham.
Yep.
It's just the system. Once they get out of there, boy, they turn them loose.
4th down, they're going. Ball is out on the 35. 4th and 14. Oregon doesn't use the shotgun. Bull rush, pass away, pass is incomplete. Kristen McLemore had his hands on it. The ball was just a little too high for him to reel it in. That's 50 pass attempts now for Danny O'Neill, and that also beats a Ron Van de Kellen record.
Coming from your right side, man coverage. He's well covered, but look at the effort of McLemore. That's Brian Miller.
1st and 10.
He just gets this off. Look at the effort put forth here.
Almost put that thing in his pocket, didn't he?
He would have caught it if Miller hadn't have shaken it loose.
Yep. Mike Archie now is in the backfield with Brian Milne as the Nittany Lions take over at their own 35-yard line, and Milne with a strong run of 6 yards as a penalty flag is thrown on the far side of the field. And the clock stops at 8:49 to play in the game. Offsides, Oregon. You know, the story the other day was that Penn State now, they have a huge number of alumni here in the Southern California area. And someone said that they have the largest dues-paying alumni association in the country. And the story is, of course, that Michigan has
They used to tell me Michigan did.
the largest number of living alumni, but not necessarily dues-paying alumni.
Oh, I see.
Well, some of those Michigan guys got short arms. They're not paying their dues.
1st and 5.
Well, they're coming into this ball game. A note we alluded to a long time ago that Joe Paterno was even with Paul Bryant in postseason bowl game wins. And if his team wins this one today, and it appears kind of likely now that he is going to pass
Tackled by
Paul Bryant's record. So it's been quite a day of records in this 81st Rose Bowl game. Now the big old fullbacks, Milne and Whitman, are going to start beating on the defenders of Oregon.
Colorado
jump Notre Dame 41 to 24. Huh?
McCartney goes out a winner. We wish him well. Nothing but the best.
Rick Neuheisel steps in behind him. He one of the
4-yard gain.
There you go. If you didn't know what, let's get another shot of that. You know, if you didn't know who was at the top of that, it's almost becoming a trademark.
Well, do you know why he wears his
Oh, I
pants
sure
on?
do. I saw Sue the other night, and she told me that
Keep him from getting dirty.
back in the early 60s when he was an assistant coach, he wore his best breeches, and he'd get them dirty.
Right.
Come home dirty, and she'd say, roll them up. And you know what? And coaches are superstitious as all get out, and he probably was winning, and he just, because I'm sure he doesn't wear his best breeches now. He probably wears some coaching pants from the issue there at Penn State. But they get superstitious, and they just don't change.
Milne goes up the middle, picks up the first down. And at 8 minutes to play in a ball game, they can move the chains again. Wednesday night, is special on ABC this week. You've got 3 of TV's funniest ladies and 2 great hours of comedy. Roseanne, Grace, another Roseanne, and then Ellen, starting at 8, 7 Central. Sam Donaldson, Diane Sawyer will be at Wednesday with a new primetime live in its new night. All of it Wednesday night here on ABC. 48-yard line. Nittany Lions starting to grind it now, and breaking up the middle is Mike Archie. And Archie inside the 35, and the Oregon Ducks defense getting tired now.
Take a look at the offensive line. Brady is to the right, number 81. That's Rivera, number 54. The fullback is there, too. 81 gets a big block, buries his man to the inside. That's Bailey again. When you've got a tight end that can block and a fullback that can block, I mean, the offensive line is supposed to be able to block, but you get those 2 guys blocking, and your tailback's going to gain a lot of yardage.
From the 34, the Ducks respond as Ki-Jana Carter comes into the ball game, and they roll him down short of the line of scrimmage. Now we go inside 7 minutes to play in the ball game.
Making the tackle.
Ki-Jana Carter has started 18 games in his college career, and in 16 of those 18, he's gained over 100 yards. Seems a little bit disgusted that he's coming out of the game here today.
Second down and 13. Kerry Collins quickly hits Freddie Scott. And Scott will get inside the 30, and that'll be first. They're going to go just near the 24 for it.
Alex Molden on the tackle.
There of about 8. The last Big Ten team to come into the Rose Bowl unbeaten and untied was Ohio State back in 1979. But the Southern California Trojans beat them 17-16.
It's interesting, the mix of teams we've had in the last few years, too. A lot of different teams. Wisconsin won from the Big Ten last year. Michigan 2 years ago.
That pass is swung out to Mike Archie. And Archie is knocked out of bounds, and he is hit short of the 25, which means he's short of the
Mike Archie.
I tell you what, they bring a freshness, a whole new ambiance, an enthusiasm that is wonderful.
Wisconsin last year, and then Oregon this year, and Penn State.
They put up a great big tent outside the Rose Bowl for those who couldn't get tickets. This was a tough ticket this year.
I think that's a great idea. Big, one of those big screens.
3 yards on the play.
So if you just want to come to this area and be a part of the ambiance, not get inside with a ticket, but, you know, hang around.
Ain't a bad place to hang around. That's right. It's not shaking. 43-yard field goal try, a lot of leg, it's good. Brett Conway from 43 makes it a 31-14 ball game, Penn State.
The deal of the year on Ford Taurus is now even better because your lease payment is now even lower. Just $237 a month for 24 months on Taurus sedan or wagon. Or you can choose low 2.9% financing or $750 cash back. Don't wait to take advantage of these 3 great offers on Taurus sedan and wagon, because the deal that makes the best-selling car in America an even greater value ends January 4th. Ford Taurus.
Gosh, the sky is so clear.
Hey, look, a shooting star.
That means you're going to go on a trip.
No, it doesn't. It means you're supposed to make a wish. Hey, Gene, what would you wish for?
Well, I wish my radio would work better.
No, really.
Well, I wish I could go to some really neat places.
I'm going to St. Louis with my cousins.
And I want to go to college and learn about things you kind of don't understand. And I'd like to be in a ticker tape parade and meet a president. And I'd like to be able to fly.
For over 150 years, America's universities have given kids from everywhere the chance to pursue their dreams through an education. And what their dreams have given back to us is immeasurable.
Gosh, Gene, what are you going to ask for next?
The moon?
off to Oregon.
Brent Conway kicking off for Penn State.
That field goal by Penn State there, quite large. It means Oregon's got to score 3 times. That'll be pretty hard. That'd be pretty hard if they had 25 minutes and 43 seconds. But I'll say this, the Oregon Ducks didn't leave anything in the saddlebag, did they?
And they've come and had a good showing, too. This is their first 9-win season for Oregon in 46 years.
Whittle from the goal line. And he can't find the crack. Comes out to the 18, and there the Ducks start. Andy O'Neill, who has been a big record setter in this ball game, comes out at quarterback. O'Neill has what now? 3 records: yardage, attempts, and completion.
Grew up in this area too, didn't he, Keith?
He's from Newport.
Yeah, a lot of the, in fact, 52 of the 94 players on this Oregon roster are from the state of California.
Because Oregon's still got one grass pool.
I mean, they don't have a lot of, not many people up there.
The way they want it. Here's a little bit of a delay with Kilyaw trying to pop out of there, and Dino can't quite get it done. He gets up to about the 20.
Lynn Stewart making the
grabbed him
tackle.
and took him under. Probably Gelsizer. He's in the neighborhood, and if he's in the neighborhood, normally he's got a piece of the action. Willie Smith shows blitz. Pass hit off the back of Dameron Ricketts because O'Neill had to throw it so quickly because he saw that big old backer blitzing right up the middle. Atkins, he was right in his face.
Defending.
This is the 31st different possession in this ball game. In other words, Oregon's had the ball 16 times and Penn State's had it 15 times.
Normally, you'll have it maybe 11 or 12, 10, 11 or 12 times. If you have long possessions, obviously you won't have it but 7 or 8, but been a lot of short possessions.
And that won't get him the first down as McLemore makes the catch.
O'Neill's pass completed to Kristen McLemore. Jason Collins making the tackle.
Let's see what they decide to do on 4th down, way back here on their end of the field. If they go for it and don't get it, then they've pretty well conceded points to Penn State at 4:45 to play in the ball game.
You're down 17 with 4 minutes to play.
Doesn't matter, does it?
Look out.
Yeboah Cody. Still Yeboah Cody, and Penn State will own the football down around the Oregon 13-yard line.
Jerry Sandusky, the defensive coordinator, has finally found an area where he can blitz and get in and sack. There's Sandusky.
That's the first time Jerry's had a smile.
Yes.
Since he came west.
From the top of the screen, one of the outside linebackers, Yeboah Cody and Willie Smith. Left side, the guard tries to get out. That's Reed, 71. Smith sacking him, and Yeboah Cody. They've reached the low water mark for Penn State in scoring this year. They scored, the lowest coming in was 31 points against Michigan. That was the lowest they've scored. They've reached that now. They got 31, and it looks like they may get more.
Making the tackle.
That was John Whitman carrying the ball, fullback. He's at 238 pounds, and Brian Milne 253 pounds, and they can line those two up in a bull backfield and make life real hard for you.
What I enjoy is when they get on the goal line, they got both fullbacks in the game, Whitman and Milne, and they take the highfalutin running back, Ki-Jana Carter, take him out of the backfield and put him on the wing and let him block for the 2 big backs.
All at the 9-yard line. They give it to Whitman. He's down to the goal line, but not in. Oh, they call him in. He tumbles over.
John Whitman scoring.
I thought he was short.
I thought he was too, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. No.
9 yards.
So Penn State will finish the season scoring 51 straight times when they have been in what is called the red zone. He's down a yard short of the goal line. They gave him 6 there. He was down.
I don't think they gave him. Maybe they gave it one play earlier. They would have got
Mike Barneger is in for the extra point try, number 88. Mike Barneger. So he gets a chance to pop one up and through. So it is now in the bank at 4:24 to play in the game. Penn State 38 and Oregon 14. And Joe Paterno is on his way to his 16th postseason bowl win, which takes him past Paul William Bryant. Good friends, those two. I talked to Joe about what he thought he could accomplish and what he now has, in fact, accomplished, and that's past Barry Bryant.
You know, when Paul was alive, Paul was for some reason or other took an interest in me and my career, and was a big help to me. He'd call me every once in a while about what I was making, my contract, and try to give me some advice. He had me down to a couple of coaches' clinics down there, and I, you know, yeah, I'd love to be able to say, hey, I did something Paul Bryant didn't do. Yeah, I would. I'd be honest with you. And not in the sense of personal, because I think he's probably up there saying that little whippersnapper from Brooklyn, you know, kind of thing.
But he's done it.
Yes, he has.
16 wins in the postseason. Conway kicks it. High in the air. A lot of air on it. Ball is taken by Whittle at about the 6-yard line. And he's across the 25. Now the Ducks can take another shot at it. But I think the issue has been resolved.
And you got to give the coaching staff credit and the players, Keith, for having known what the result was last night. Nebraska won.
Hey, we're number one. You got to give us at least one of them. You got to give at least one of polls. We're number one. We're number one. At least one of we're number one. Got to give it to us.
Ki-Jana, we don't have a vote.
We're going to score against Gang Green defense.
Well, there was a little lobbying for some votes. I'm just going to say the players and the coaches of Penn State came out and took care of business.
Josh Wilcox made that catch, so he's all right, Mama.
Completed to Josh
got himself a tattoo, though, and his mama wasn't too happy about that. His younger brother, incidentally, is quite a quarterback out of high school in Junction City, Oregon, and just this past week committed to going to school at Oregon. So the Wilcox name carries on at the University of Oregon. That's the first down as Cameron Ricketts makes the catch and moves it over to the Penn State side of the field.
Keith, I'll ask you a question. This Penn State offense leads the nation in total offensive scoring. What's the best offense you've seen this year?
This one, probably.
Florida, Colorado.
No, I like this one.
Florida State.
I'll tell you why I like this one. I like this one because of the balance.
Run and pass.
Yep. Even though Oregon has controlled the passing game relatively well, I mean, you can't see Juravicius coming in and making the big play the two big plays he made. You don't expect it. But at the same time, give Danny O'Neal all the credit in the world for doing what he's done today.
Penn State averaging 250 yards a game on the ground and 270 yards through the air. How about the most exciting game we had this year? End of the year.
Yes, it Whittle down the sideline. Ducks haven't quit. They sure have at the 25-yard line. I thought the SEC championship game was pretty good.
Great game, wasn't it?
Yep.
How about the Florida State's coming up. A rematch is coming up right after this game, and there you are.
USF&G Insurance Sugar Bowl game. And how about that show up in Ann Arbor between Colorado and Michigan?
How about the most exciting play of the year?
Well, you got to go with that catch in the Michigan-Colorado, I suppose.
Yeah, it was...
I'll tell you, there's a play, though, that was made in the Auburn-Alabama game, and I went back and looked just to make sure that I had not been deceived by my own eyes. But Damian Ian Jeffries' play where he jumps up in the air, slapped the ball, he intercepted the pass after putting pressure on Nix. That was a pretty good football play. But
how about some of the play calling in that game with Spurrier? Spurrier making some of those calls. That was
not bad.
But the best individual performance. I'll give you a clue. My vote, Texas-Colorado game.
Yeah, some fellow named Salam.
Over 300 yards rushing, wasn't it? Something like that.
And part of it with a mild concussion.
Yeah.
Not bad.
You know, one thing
he's supposed to make his announcement shortly, isn't he? What he's going to do. Well, I don't think Oregon ought to hang their head. They've done just fine.
From the start of the season when they were
going to the end zone. Incomplete. That's a good defensive play. Pat Johnson, the speedster, was down there, but it was a very good play by the Penn State defender.
From behind the offense,
Brian Miller, I think, is the man that came across to make the play.
Top right. You're right,
yep.
Miller went to the same high school as Joe Montana and yes. And baseball's Ken Griffey Sr.
That's Josh Wilcox again with another catch. So Josh had a huge first quarter, big first half, got rattled around some and was quiet in the third quarter, but now he's showing up again. But the man who did the thing for Penn State here in the second half of play, his name's Sandusky. The way he moved, the adjustments he had his defense make. That's Wilcox again for the first down. He's across past the marker, and he's got his first down.
Keith, there was a time during this season that Penn State and Nebraska were split, number one. One was a 1-1 poll, and it was going into the first week in November. In fact, Penn State was playing at Indiana. They ended up winning the game 35-29, but there were 2 late touchdowns by Indiana in the last 2 minutes, and one of them was a Hail Mary. And after that point, Nebraska was number 1 in both polls. And prior to that, it was a split poll. So
O'Neill threw that one away.
Yeah.
Incomplete, intended for Josh Wilcox.
Well, you know, my feeling on that is there's quite a gap in both of the polls between first and second, first place votes, right? Now, if all of a sudden you get a big flip-flop in one of the polls, then what those guys are admitting is they've been wrong all along. Well, I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think you'll see that much of a flip-flop.
Penn State had some problems on the road. They had problems at Illinois.
Whittle trying to find his way down the sidelines, and he is finally pounded down at about the 5-yard line. Looked like he might get in for 6.
I like the fight of this young Oregon team.
It is a young team.
Yes, it is. O'Neill won't be back. But
Graziani is waiting in the wings.
Yes, he is.
Tony Graziani.
They lose the fullback, Jones. They lose O'Neill and one offensive lineman, and the rest of them will be back.
He was the young fellow that came down to the Coliseum and beat USC.
Yes, he did. A left-hander, sidewinder.
Yeah. Got a big frame. He might put on some weight, too. Third down and very, very short. Whittle didn't get it. Now, on second effort, he's going to get it. Look at him ride the back of that big old offensive side. Harden and company. Tasi Malapayai. So they'll have their first down, it appears, and if so, that'll stop your clock at 2:57, and it'll be first down and goal Oregon at the Penn State 3. Won't matter much in the ultimate outcome, but it will matter to the Oregon Ducks and their faithful. O'Neill throws beyond the end zone, incomplete. McLemore and Christian was well off the field to play. McLemore has 10 catches for 103 yards. Wilcox 10 catches for 130 yards. Ricketts 7 catches for 74 yards. Phil Yaw 6 catches for 80 yards. And then mix in the others.
Kristen McLemore set a record with his 20th touchdown reception of his career. That moved him ahead of Bobby Moore, or you may know him as Ahmad Rashad.
Weddle touchdown. Ricky Weddle scampers in for 6.
This is not insignificant points that Oregon is putting on the board either, because the kids that are coming back to this program next year will remember that they fought to the final bell at this Rose Bowl game, and they'll want to come back.
And Rich Brooks kind of standing in awe of all of his new friends until they all found out there were no tickets available. Going for 2. McLemore didn't get in. He did not get in. Penzenik was defending on the play, and if there is a Walter Mitty in this ball game today, it would be Chuck Penzenik. First start, nobody knew how to pronounce his name hardly. Joe probably had to look it up. Started him at free safety.
He was a cornerback before all the injuries hit.
Wonderful. That's one of the, to me, that's one of the great things about college athletics.
Again, let me remind you.
And Joe was saying, you know, he'll probably make some mistakes, and we'll probably have to live with it. But, you know, he's going to do all right the majority of the time. Well, he's intercepted 2 balls. He's made some key plays on other balls, made some nice tackles. These 2 coaches getting votes in several different polls for Coach of the Year. Rich Brooks getting in some of the polls, and the ones that didn't vote for Rich, certainly Joe Paterno got the rest of them.
He should.
Matt Belden kicking off for Oregon.
How about tough luck player of the year, a guy that maybe got hurt?
Well, I think Tyrone Wheatley had a tough.
Wheatley did have a tough year. Tommy Frazier. How about Tommy Frazier?
Tommy Frazier. But he ended it. He had a considerable trend passion.
How about Jerry Colquitt at Tennessee?
Yeah, that's the ultimate. Onside kick. Penn State covers it, and the Nittany Lions have the ball at the 45 of Oregon, and it looked like Bobby Ingram probably was the man on the ball.
J.J. Stokes at USC. I mean, it's UCLA. Yeah.
But you know, the heartbreak of heartbreaks had to be Jerry Colquitt right here.
Yeah.
In the Rose Bowl against UCLA. That was really
waited his turn behind.
Penn State.
Heath Schuler.
Heath Schuler, 5th-year senior. He finally got his chance to play.
Here goes Carter. And Ki-Jana Carter is out of bounds at the 34-yard line.
The ball carrier.
38-20. And the Penn State frontliners are still in there.
I think they'd get some of the backups in there to get a little playing time in the Rose Bowl, huh?
Well, looks like Wally Richardson may be the heir apparent.
Yeah.
Graziani, the heir apparent of Oregon. Not necessarily so.
Penn State offense doesn't lose too many players either.
This is Brian Milne.
The ball carrier.
Both fullbacks are back. Both Ingram and Scott, the wide receivers, are back.
Freddie Scott's only
Jeremy
a sophomore.
Asher.
Chris Campbell's only a sophomore.
They lose one offensive lineman. That's the center. Carter is a redshirt junior. He might be back. Of course, they lose Brady. I got one other thing for you, Keith. One. I worked with you for a long time here, 7, 8 years. Most memorable moments.
When?
This year.
This year?
Yeah. of the year. It sticks out in my mind like it was the...
Well, I fell down on the floor the night at the Coliseum when you got stuck in the elevator. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, no. Well, well, that was I was going to talk about the same game, but something a little bit different. When all the power went out, and I'm watching you broadcast with a telephone. Oh,
I've done that before.
Oh, boy. I said, here is the main man, Mr. College Football, doing a broadcast on a telephone.
Work.
I'll never forget that. Oh, boy.
24-yard line. Here goes Milne the other way, and they're just pounding now, just pounding as we come up on 1:20 to play. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Jack O'Hara. The coordinating producer of ABC's College Football is Bob Goodrich, who also produced today's game, who also produced the game in Green Bay on Saturday, and he's crazy. He's working pretty hard. Associate coordinating producer for college football is Jim Ressler, directed by Drew Esikoff, who was also running around all over the country this weekend. Our technical director, yeah, you get crazy too. Technical director, Gary Larkins. Associate director, Bruce Clark. Production manager, Joe Alvarado. Our technical operations managers, play stopped in the middle, Claude Phipps and Jerry Reuter. Assistants to the producer, Steve Shunk and Brady Bass. Statistician, Dave Burnson. Our spotter, Todd Berry. Our computer stats by Mark Amento. And our sideline coordinator, Doug Johnson. I'm Keith Jackson, working with Bob Greasy and Lynn Swan, who worked in Miami last Saturday. So I feel like I'm very lucky. I've had it pretty easy this past weekend. Wally Richardson is now in at quarterback for Penn State. Final seconds ticking away. This will do it. This is Stephen Pitts. And the game is over. The Penn State Nittany Lions defeat the Oregon Ducks 38-20. An untied, undefeated Penn State Nittany Lions. Lynn Swan, try to get a word with him when we come back.
Introducing Ford Contour. Gold, a world car for the 21st century. Example, the advanced Quadrelink rear suspension. It was designed to allow rear wheels to adjust in sync with the front, giving Contour precise control in cornering and braking. Then it was put through 2 million miles of rigorous testing just to make sure. The totally new Ford Contour. Well equipped for just $14,655.
You can't play in the Super Bowl, but Edge can get you closer than ever in the Edge Ultimate Super Bowl Instant Win Game. If you win, you and a friend will head to the sidelines with NFL Films on an all-expense-paid trip to Super Bowl 29 in Miami. Just look for this ad in most Sunday papers January 15th for your chance to win instantly. The Edge Ultimate Super Bowl Instant Win Game. Ultimate closeness. Ultimate comfort. That's the Edge.
Tylenol has been my pain reliever for as long as I can remember. I counted on it when I was working and when I became a mom. But since I started competing in triathlons, I get aches and pains in places I never knew I had. So now I use Tylenol even more. It's my doctor's recommendation for safe, effective pain relief. She really believes in it. I count on Tylenol. I trust it.
Tylenol, the pain reliever doctors recommend and hospitals use most.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that will pick you up right at your door. That's Enterprise. Call us. We'll arrange to come to you, take you back to our office, and you're on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Shake it, no dandruff. You've got Selsun Power. Brush it, no flakes. You've got Selsun Power with Selsun Blue. Doctors recommend it #1 over all leading brands. Dandruff problem? No way. You've got Selsun Power.
Here at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, the final score, Penn State 38, Oregon 20. Yes. And for the presentation of the trophy, President of the Tournament of Roses, Mike Ward, with head coach Joe Paterno. Mike.
Joe, on behalf of the Tournament of Roses, City of Pasadena,
a great day for the Big Ten. We are so pleased and happy to have you here for the first time. Let me help give you this trophy. Joe, congratulations on that win. It's your second year in the Big Ten. Some people were concerned you'd win this Rose Bowl trophy the first year. It just took you one extra one.
Well, it's nice to hear that kind of stuff, but we feel very fortunate that we were able to come out here this year and beat a fine Oregon football team that played really hard, played tough, and we're very honored that we were able to play against people like that and be fortunate enough to win. I'm glad we won for Penn State, and I'm glad we won for the Big Ten. But more importantly, I thought it was a great college football game, and I think college football won today.
Sounds like to me, Joe, that you believe in your heart that this is the best team in the country.
Well,
there are a few thousand people here who have voiced their opinion, Joe.
Well, I think I'd have to agree with them.
Well, Joe, let's talk a little bit about the ball game, the things that surprised you in it.
Well, nothing surprised me. I talked to Richie Brooks when we had our press conference. He asked me what was going to win it. I said defense and kicking will win it. It'll win any tough game when you had a team that plays defense as well as Oregon. And our defense played a great football game today under a lot of pressure. And our kicking game was outstanding. And our offense, when they were being pressured, kept their poise, and we ended up playing a good, solid football game.
Coach, you know a lot of people are going to ask you how you would feel about a national championship playoff.
Well, I've always wanted a playoff. That's nothing new with me. I've always wanted a playoff.
Well, Joe, that's terrific. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Let's go back to Keith Jackson.
Okay, Swanee. Congratulations to Joe and his entire staff. Great University, Penn State. Final score, Nittany Lions 38, the Oregon Ducks 20. And you've got Florida State and Florida left to watch. So find a comfortable chair and enjoy. Good night from Pasadena.